Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Let me know if you can see and hear me okay. Hello, hello, hello. Let me know where you're viewing from if you wish and what the weather is like there. I am in Olympia, Washington, in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And it is sort of a bright cloudy and not raining currently. I think actually it's supposed to get sunny later today, which is exciting. um, so I think I'm live streaming, but I am waiting for confirmation from somebody. uh, this is going to be a group energy healing. It's the third in the set of 3 called the November Triplet set. And then there's a set of 2 healings after this, the November Twin set. And all this month is the same theme, which is a giant theme. It's basically all the first chakra abilities. So courage, safety, abundance, clearing fear, worry, clear all that stuff, clear anxiety, and strong family boundaries. Always a good thing to add. Don't leave home without it. Strong family boundaries. And I'm healing 131 people in 14 different countries that purchased this healing 2 months ago on the 15th. And each month on the 15th, that's when a new batch of healing sets goes up for sale on my website. The new name of my website is jwhealing.com. Oh, yay! Thank you for my confirmations. Very nice. JW Healing, like Janet Wright. JW Healing. Keep it short. Short and to the point, baby. But the old email address and YouTube address, Janet Wright Readings, if you use that as a website address, janetwrightreadings.com, it still works. It'll just boot you into JW Healing. And at some point, this YouTube channel will be called JW Healing. I don't know why I'm waiting. I just figure people are going to freak out, so I'm waiting for some reason. But the sets that go up for sale, basically, I think it's next Wednesday, yeah, a week from tomorrow, are the January sets. So I haven't even announced the themes yet for January. And I'm not going to do it right now either, because I don't know consciously what they are. The whole year is already set on the astral. It's just all the themes, but I don't know them yet. Consciously. But I will. And when I know, I will email my news email lists. But I'm concerned about emailing that list too often. So I'll probably, if I know by the 15th, then I'll do it on that email that I send out on the 15th. When the January sets go up on the payment page, I'll send the email saying, hey, I just put them up. And by the way, here are the themes for the year. Hopefully. La la la. What else? Okay. Well, today, I have a couple extra things that we'll do today to help the theme, including some overabundance stuff, because abundance is first chakra stuff, and so we've been helping it by doing any first chakra stuff. You also help abundance, and then we've done clear baggage for the theme, clear baggage for this, and clear abundance. So we've done it, but not like sort of really jumped in and with both feet into clearing for abundance. So we'll do that today. We'll use that abundance tree image. I put that in the survey, yesterday's post-healing survey. If any of you that paid for the healing, you get the survey links. And I try to put little extras into the surveys. I didn't do that on Friday because I was just had a lot that I was dealing with, but usually I try to do a little extra question where you're sort of imagining things, and it's sort of like a healing little nugget if you wanted to work it. You know, it's like a, what if, you know, imagine this and then ask your angels for help with this, and, you know. So someday those will be somewhere, like I'll collect them all together because people tend to like those, the survey, that the extra question. So I don't know what I'll do with it. I kind of feel like maybe like it would be nice to have like a physical paper book with all of them in there. But I don't know. We'll see. So what we will repeat from 2 days ago, it was a couple of things, but the chaos boundary wall, that was cool. That did seem to help. I'm still sort of exploring how much it helps and how much it can replace chakra repair and like explicit chakra repair and explicit creative ring repair and explicit like good karma window unblocking and repair and aura repair. So we'll see. But it does seem to fix, it does seem to, at the very least, I think it's an important complement to that kind of thing. Because it did seem that it improved people's boundaries significantly to invasive energies. So that's cool. Chaos boundary wall. It's like simple, just like a gold flowy wall, and you look for gashes and things wrong with it, and then you fill it with gold light. And it represents your boundaries with invasive people and invasive beings. So we will absolutely repeat that today. We may keep doing that for quite a while. We'll see. It depends on surveys and what I see in people's energy that fill out the surveys. But anyway, so we'll definitely do that today. There was something that was suggested, like it's sort of inspired by somebody's survey, which I don't really want to preview a lot, but it has to do with when people cross over and the or pets, you know, that cross over, and the what the observers go through. Because and sort of to distinguish between, you know, what the person whose body is breaking down goes through and what the loved ones observing go through. I guess I will just say that the people who are dying or the pets who are dying, if they are going through, you know, really unfun experiences because their body's, you know, breaking down, basically, that pain, the pain of dying, gets lifted off of their soul when they go to heaven, when they cross over. And it doesn't impact them in heaven, of course, and then it doesn't even impact them in future lives. Like, it's just gone. The angels lift off dying pain. So it's not a thing that then they bear forward in the future or anything. So if you have a pet who passed in a horrible way because you weren't able to, or you didn't choose to, you know, do like an assisted euthanasia with a vet, or, you know, whatever, or your loved one, you know, had a painful final period of time before they passed. Yeah, that dying pain that person went through, it's gone now. It's all gone. It doesn't impact them. It doesn't weigh on them. They are not harmed anymore by it. But the observers, which I'm going to call it death observer pain. It's like the people who care about that dying person or that dying pet. That you know, knowing that your pet or your person, loved one, is suffering, is that, you know, you can get really blocked up about that and traumatized. And so that is something that I think we'll work on a little bit today, is death observer pain. So just because the other stuff of people who are dying, that is temporary and it completely gets lifted off of them, and so it's There's really nothing to work with that. There's nothing lasting with that. But anyway, so death observer pain will just help people clear that. And another thing I wanted to mention that's related to that is, I should timestamp all this. I'll just say I talked about it. I won't timestamp it. Meaning there'll be a detailed healing summary in the comment section within a day listing all the major things we did in the healing. And I'll give a teeny heads up about what the intro discussion that I'm doing right now was about. But anyway, so about observing somebody you care about, you know, as their body breaks down before they die. There are angels that are working with the people that are soon to cross over. Even like if someone's going to cross over like up to like 5 years in the future, they subconsciously start to work with special angels that I call the angels of death. And they're real angels, but they have a very like powerful energy. It's sort of like an angel of death. It's kind of like an ocean in a mountain form or something. You know, it's a very powerful energy, any of these angels of death. But like I said, they're real angels, and they just help you to, you know, acknowledge the realities, even just subconsciously, of like what you still have to clear, what you still ideally would heal or learn before you cross over, because, you know, that is really nice if you can do more of your learning or more of your healing or whatever in the lifetime, because then it gives you better potential for your next life. You know, you don't have to redo things. So, but the observers tend to not understand that. You know, like say you have a friend who has terminal cancer and you're observing, right? So the observers tend to not really understand and they think like, oh, well, if I can just get this pesky angel away from my friend will live much longer, you know, because obviously I want my friend to live forever, you know. And that is not a good plan, because like I said, an angel of death is like a giant global ocean wrapped up in a mountain. They're really strong, and you can't get them to not do what they're meant to do, which is to help this person and to counsel them about, you know, what they need to do. And so you're just kind of sticking your finger in like the biggest electrical socket in the history of all electrical sockets by trying to get in between your loved one and the angels of death that are trying to work with that person. So like one time, you know, generally people, I mean, it happened to me once, that I know of. You know, I had a friend who was very, very much terminally ill, and most of the time I didn't get mixed up in it, but one day I did notice that I was in between that person and their angels of death that they were working with. And it does feel very screwed up. You're like, whoa. It's like you're kind of inside a tornado, but not like in the calm eye part, like in the side parts. One client recently who didn't know what was happening, but she's like, oh yeah, when I talk to my friend who's dying, afterwards I feel like, you know, my feet aren't on the ground. And it's because accidentally you can, you know, try to get in between your friend and the angels of death that they're working with, and then you feel like you're, you know, you're not all there. So I guess we'll just help everyone to be separate from the angels of death, so that, I mean, you know, like to stop interfering with the angels of death, so that, you know, if you have a loved one who, you know, maybe is many years still away. Usually it's though within 5 that the angels of death are around. But I guess if the person's very mindful, you know, you could work with an angel of death like 20 years before your death, you know, just to like see if you're doing well with what you're meant to learn and everything. I mean, your personal angels can help too, but there is a way, like that whole like ocean in a mountain kind of a vibe is just very sobering. It's like, oh, I really should hurry up. I should stop putting that off, you know? So anyway, yeah, so that's discussing angels of death and why it's good to just let them do their job. Don't try to make your friends live forever. Your friends have a divine timing to their life, even though they're your friends. And helping people to clear death observer pain. So we'll do that today. So I'm sure I freaked everyone out by talking about that right now. Well, hopefully not. If you're freaked out, I don't know, take a deep breath. Clear some 2 big blocks. We'll start the healing soon, so we'll fix it then. Then we've been doing this clear the turn away baggage in between the courageous part of you and the second fear part of you, which, you could have multiple parts. But the courageous part ideally would turn towards the stuck in fear part and like be the hero and like be like a constant support. So that then the stuck in fear parts of you are no longer stuck in fear, because that strength would create flow and it would dislodge the fear blocks, and then that part of you would feel comforted and better. So that's the idea, that, the courageous, strong parts of you turn inward rather than but they can get blocked by stuff in the way, like old parent energy, old sibling energy, bully energy we talked about. Now I'm really triggering people. Sorry, guys. So, that was one of the things that we cleared, which I think was good, bully energy, because I've been bullied in this life in my childhood by my brother a lot. And, but when you think about it, probably, I would think everybody has been bullied in a past life. And then, but you can fully clear the baggage from that. So, but you can kind of look at, okay, well, how many lifetimes have I been bullied? And then how many lifetimes is it still unresolved? Like, do I still need to clear the baggage from, which could be a number, Anyway, so we did some of that 2 days ago, and we'll do a little more now, because the more that you clear the baggage from being bullied, then the more the strong part of you, the more the courageous part of you can heal the scared part of you, and you're more courageous overall. But that's clearing turn away baggage, like the stuff that's in between the strong and the weak part is, could be well-intentioned, like, what is that phrase I used? Invasive comforters. I love that phrase. It's much nicer than the love and light crew that I was calling them. That sounds a little judgy. Invasive comforters. So we'll clear invasive comforter energy too, if there's some in between your courageous part and your stuck in fear part. But also, I think today we could do a little more with healing the strong part of you, the courageous part of you. Oddly enough, you would think like, okay, well, Janet, that's the courageous part of me. Like, isn't that part of me fine? What the heck? You telling me like all parts of me are screwed? But it's not that all parts of you are screwed. It's that we're kind of just fine-tuning. So we're finding the little sub-parts that are screwed and healing them, and therefore you improve. You're more strong, more mellow, more courageous, more, more good stuff, right? So the courageous part of you could be wounded. And like wounded warrior is an interesting concept. Like, maybe part of your courageous part is meant to be a warrior. Like, I used Mark Elias as an example, maybe last healing, or the healing before that, in this set, about a person, an American voting rights lawyer, who his group sues a lot of states, basically, and they win a lot of cases, so that states can't you know, disenfranchise certain groups of voters and stuff like that. So, you know, he does a lot to help democracy, but he's very stable, which helps his effectiveness. And he's stable because, in part, because his hero part helps his fearful part. So then it creates a really deep strength. And then with that deep strength, then he does his work that he's meant to do in the world. So, which for him is, you know, voting rights lawyer. But for you, would not necessarily be that. But the point is to get the deep strength first, and then do whatever you're meant to do. So, but you can have so he has a part of himself that's a warrior, you know, but like a really centered, powerful warrior. So that's maybe 20% of his strong part, I would say. And then 80% of his strong part turns within to help his, the weaker parts of him, the fearful parts of him. So that's where he gets that deep strength, is that the strong part is always helping the weak part, right? But there are people who maybe get into conflicts a lot, and they tend to have a wounded warrior. So the part of them that's a warrior, maybe all of it isn't really meant to be a warrior even. It's just like that they got a bunch of hard objects and terrible energy thrown at them, and then now they just feel like, ah, you know, they're like all irritable because they're all wounded, you know. That's like if there's an animal that's wounded and injured and cornered, you know, they could be violent. That animal could be aggressive when it normally would not be aggressive. And that's the kind of idea where you may be seeking out or attracting conflict to you because part of your courageous part is wounded in a certain way that makes you this wounded warrior. When otherwise, maybe if that part of you was healed, maybe part of you would be like a nice, stable, strong warrior, but the other part would be able to heal your weaker parts, and you'd have, you know, deep strength. So we're gonna heal your courageous part more, and your wounded warrior parts, if you have those. Most people do. So there's that. So that's it. Is that all? So hopefully we'll be able to do all that. We'll see. That's the idea, though. Thanks everyone for your surveys. If you did fill out surveys, I do appreciate it. And they are helpful. Even though you don't get an individual reply. Oh my gosh! There was this extra question in the survey this time, which I so needed. It was so fun to read the answers. Like, I can't tell you what people said because I didn't, you know, ask, is it okay if I say what you say, you know? So I can't say, but the question, I could say the question, which was, if you were a food, what would you be? Like if you were, you know, a type of food, what would you be? And the answers just made me laugh out loud a lot of times, just because it's just silly in a way that I needed, you know. It was really great. So for me, at this point, my answer is, if I was a food, what would I be? I would be like a big bowl of homemade vanilla whipped cream. Or I would be Kerrygold salted butter, like really good salted butter, which, you know, we get Kerrygold. That's this brand from Ireland, and that's my favorite butter. So I would either be yummy salted butter or yummy vanilla homemade whipped cream, homemade vanilla whipped cream. But some people were like fruit, some people were dessert, some people were like entrees, some people were both. They were like, okay, well, I'll be this and this. Some people were like seasonally, you know, in summer they would be this, in winter they would be this type of food. It was just funny to see what people said they would be if they were food. So silliness is good sometimes. All right. So, can see and hear you. Can see and hear you. Gorgeous day in Missouri. Sunday, sunny and 73. My goodness. Good for you. That sounds very nice. My tomatoes would have ripened on the vine then if I was in Missouri, sounds like. That's my problem, really. I was listening to people that on YouTube that garden that live in the South, and I didn't. I got tomato varieties that take too long to ripen, and I planted them too late, and yada yada. But next year I'll be better. Always learning. Hello, hello. Thanks for the emojis. Hi, Jen. I can see and hear you in Chicago. Hello, in Chicago. Hello, Chicago. I used to live there for a long time. Long time. All right, so now I will be quiet for about 3 minutes. Towards the end of that, you'll see me go like that. That's how you know I started the healing. And then about a minute after that, I will start talking. And the rest, for the rest of the healing, I'll talk out loud as I work. So it functions as a walkthrough if you want to do that, like an all levels healing walkthrough. You don't have to heal yourself as I heal you if you're getting this healing, but you won't get in my way or anything if you do. A lot of people like to do that. They feel like maybe they're better able to see or heal themselves like while I'm healing them. But other people just, live their life, take a nap, do whatever they got to do in the day, or clean the house or whatever. You do you. Whatever you want to do right now is fine. Okay. Thanks. I hope you enjoy the little couple minutes of quiet. Okay, thanks for waiting. So when you heal yourself, you can make a copy out in front of you of yourself, and then you use gold light to heal the copy. And as you heal the copy, you're healing yourself. The point of using a copy is by using your hands, you're feeling energy, even if you're not good at that at first. So you can over time get good at feeling like what does a rip feel like, what does a clog feel like, and so that's an extra source of information, in addition to seeing energy, which develops over time, in addition to intuition, which gets better over time. So if you're using a copy out in front of you, it can be of everything or just of the particular part that you're healing, like say one side of your neck and shoulders. Maybe that's what you're imagining. But if it's of all of you, then that would be your 17 auras, physical body, astral body, and 15 Wei Qi auras. And then inside that is your physical body and your astral body. And then connecting all of that down to the core of the earth is 2 groundings, astral body grounding and physical body grounding. So yesterday's healing, we did a bunch of like talking about, we cleared a lot of walls of denial as we were healing to see if that improved things and made more clear and heal. Because if you're pretending something's not there, then you're not going to be able to heal it, most likely. So by clearing the walls of denial more and more over and over, it opened people up to more greater potential for improvement and moving forward. But today I want to try it a little differently just to keep things interesting. So today what I want to do is, as we do grounding, I want to heal the wounded warrior part of you. And, back and forth, grounding, unblocking, and heal the wounded warrior part of you, just to see how that enhances it. So first we could do grounding. So that was explaining just for a minute. And then we'll do recreate both your groundings, make them nice and wide as all your auras. So red or orange or yellow, both the same color. And then you have a copy of both those groundings out in front of you and comb through them all the way down to the core of the earth. So grounding can make you much more stable. Especially a nice wide grounding that's unblocked in the back as well. When in doubt, unblock your grounding, like in life period, but also when you're receiving these healings. Because it allows you to release more, which will make you get more out of the healing. So that's unblocking grounding, just the basics of it, using gold light from your hands to melt away the clogs in your groundings. But then, so if we imagine a part of you that is courageous and bold, but maybe a little beat up. So imagine that part of you, and that part of you maybe wants to heal the inner parts of you, or maybe that part of you is so wounded that it's just like kind of blindly starting conflict with others sometimes. So imagine a version of you, like a mini you, that is in warrior mode, but perhaps only because of the wounds that just make you like, So just imagine this part of you and look for like big stakes in your heart and like the front of you, just big old, because some of these wounds can be really like giant. Like, okay, this is obviously a kitchen spoon, right? But like, say it wasn't, say it like it was like a dagger that was like this long, Let's see, maybe I don't want to demonstrate with an actual knife. I have some phobia residues from knife things in past lives, so I will not be demonstrating with a real knife. No. But okay, let's say this, right? So, but they tend to be bigger though, even when you look at the wounds of the wounded warrior part of you. But anyway, let's say it's something like this, right? And so it's like kush, 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 maybe, or just one big one, you know. But so you're looking at your wounded warrior part of you, this part of you that's like, ah, and just help her out, help him out, you know, just gold light and get the wounds, it's like you have to remove the splinter for the wound to heal. So remove whatever just got driven into you, you know, some stake or knife or, you know, hard object basically. And then, you know, just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way, can you please recycle them? And then heal up the gash that was created by whatever you just removed. So again, imagine the wounded warrior parts of you. So it's a courageous part of you, but it could be a bit turned around or a bit overly externally focused, maybe. But it's just wounded. It's a brave part of you that is wounded. And maybe that part of you has like heavy restrictions, you know, like restrictions put on your ankles and your wrists and, you know, your arms, or just some kind of hard binding clothing. So just loosen all that up with gold light. You know, you don't want any energy from other people to be just sort of punishing this part of you. So just give all that to your angels. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. If you have any sort of like restrictions around your ankles of this warrior part of you, just give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. And again, if you have any invasive beings messing with this healing, just imagine them in a line and just say, angels, can you please recycle all these invasive beings? So, and then just, again, you're imagining this courageous part of you, especially the part of you that is like a wounded warrior, just like, ah, you know. And just look for the wounds, look for what was done. Like maybe you have a spear in the back of your head, a couple. Just ease them out with gold light. Give them to the angels. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. Angels, if there are any invasive beings in the way, can you recycle them? And then let it repair. So a couple deep breaths. How does that feel to heal, to get rid of the harmful objects that were stuck in the wounded warrior part of you? So again, I'm just healing that wounded warrior part of you. You can do that as well for yourself. And so see how is this wounded warrior part of you able to turn fully towards the second fear part of you now, or more able to. And then there could be some of that stuff in the way, you know, which I call turn away baggage, because it kind of makes this strong part of you want to just go, never mind. So just, you can just bundle up all the junk in between the strong part of you and the strong courageous part of you and the weak stuck in fear part of you. Just bundle up all the junk in between and give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Like I was reading somebody recently and it was like stuff from their mom from when they were a kid. Like they were, I've been reading a bunch of people with this over the last, to prepare for the healing. It could be stuff from a mom, it could be stuff from a dad, or stuff from siblings, stuff from past lives. So anyway, the strong, courageous part of you and the weak, Sucking fear part of you, what's in between there? You can just imagine it like, maybe it looks like 10 mattresses standing up, and just surround the 10 mattresses with gold light and lift them out and come to your angels. Angels, here you go. Because you want to be able to, it's like you could imagine the strong, courageous part of you can hold the hand of the weak, scared part of you. And if there's anything in between, so those hands can't meet, just keep removing that. Maybe there's some invasive beings in the way. Just angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way? And just take some deep breaths while your angels do that. There we go. So that was healing the wounded warrior part of you, and then we did clear turn away baggage. Which, we can do more later maybe in the healing, we'll see, but I wanted to get that going. So now check your grounding, because I wanted to mix them all together and see if it helps. So check, since you've done all that, is a lot releasing down your grounding? Is your grounding more unblocked than it was before? Maybe it's the same. If it's worse, just, melt the clogs. Again, if there are any invasive beings in the way of that strong, courageous part of you, like holding hands with the weaker part of you, just imagine those beings and say, angels, can you recycle all these beings? Just keep breathing. Okay, so we'll do a little more of that. Healing the stronger, courageous parts of you. You can have energy that's sort of surrounding those parts of you. Which can also impact your abundance, but it can also sort of restrict that courageous part of you. Sometimes how I see that is with young kids and mothers that are, or fathers, that are a little more stressed or a little more stressed, or maybe they have so many kids it's harder to manage them. It's like the image I see is, it's like, well, okay, at some age, maybe some kids get this motivation, to like go out in the world and explore everything, see if cars really, will hit you if you stand in the road, kids may have kind of a thrill-seeking, adventurous part of them that is not supported by enough knowledge, so they're trying to reach, and touch hot things on the stove. They're trying to, run out in the street. They're trying to, do all this stuff. And so it's possible that a parent in that circumstance, puts like big controls around the courageous part, trying to stop that from occurring, you know, like rein the kid in. But you may still have that, and now your mind has caught up, your intelligence has caught up, you know not to touch a hot pan, you know not to run in front of traffic. So there's really no good reason to still have that around, and it probably didn't help even when it was put on, you know. So you can imagine this strong, potentially courageous and potentially adventurous part of you, and just see if there was, sometimes it looks like it's like, say if you're here, you're like this little version of you, maybe there's like a whole cylinder just put over you to be like, no, you're not going to do all that, you know. Maybe like, for example, right after college, I decided to go to Central America, Guatemala, and southern Mexico, and Belize, actually, also, just like backpacking kind of travel by myself. And that was really horrifying to my parents and my brother. They were like hell-bent on stopping me from doing it, but yeah, they couldn't stop me. I didn't even live in the same city that they did anymore, you know, and I just, you know, I worked and saved the money and did it. And but, you know, they tried to put all these objects around that courageous part of me, the adventure part of me. And so, you know, let's check to see if you have some junk like that around restricting the courageous, bold part of you. Because it could be that that is impacting your abundance. It could be that that's impacting how adventurous you are. It could be that that's impacting how much you can turn and support the stuck in fear parts of you. So you could actually be more phobic because of that, you know, whatever. So we don't want any of that. Okay, so let's get rid of that. So it's restrictions. We're going to lift off restrictions that were put by other people onto your strong, courageous parts of you, potentially adventurous parts of you. It was a fabulous trip, by the way. I did it for about 3 months. If I had it to do it over, I would have done it for much longer, like maybe a year somehow. I would have like maybe worked down there, stayed down there for about a year, but I didn't have strong enough boundaries with my genetic family at the time, and so I was sort of brainwashed into coming back to the States for winter holidays. Just unfortunate. But then that was pretty much one of the last times I ever saw them, because I could just tell it was like, what am I doing? Anyway, so let's lift off external restrictions that were put on the courageous, bold, adventurous parts of you. Doesn't mean we're all going to jump and go back down to Central America for backpacking. It just means that then you'll have that energy to do whatever you're going to do. Okay, so imagine courageous, bold, adventurous parts of you, like a little mini you, and then imagine if there were any restrictions in this life or a past life put on this part of you, like maybe like a giant cylinder all the way around you, or restrictive clothing, or restrictive, you know, binding things around you, and surround it in gold light, just lift it off. With your angels, here you go. So again, you're looking for restrictions around this bold, adventurous part of you. And just, and I'm doing a lot of those cylinder ones that are like, so it's like the mini you is like in here, like this big, and then there's this just cylinder all around you going, no, you won't do it. So just lots of gold light, and lift that off. Angels, here you go. So again, you're imagining this courageous, bold, adventurous part of you. Imagine any restrictions that were put on you by other people. And just use gold light and lift them off. Angels, here you go. Lift them off. Angels, here you go. Lift them off, and just here you go. It can look like a false wall above you, above these courageous parts of you that sort of bears down and makes, you know, the sky seem very ominous above you. So imagine that courageous part of you and see if you have any of those like heavy oppressive ceilings above you. And just surround that in gold light and lift them off. Angels, here you go. Again, and imagine that strong, courageous, adventurous part of you. And just see if there's any like false ceilings above you. And lift those off. Angels, here you go. So again, you're healing the courageous, adventurous, stronger part of you. You can have too, like, restrictions on this part of you so that you don't identify with this part of you, even though you have this part of you and this part of you is a part of you, like it's your energy. But it's again a way to restrict somebody and keep them from being bold. And again, it may be that it was just innocent and, you know, you wanted to run with scissors and your mom freaked out about that. And so she put all these restrictions on the courageous, adventurous, you know, bold part of you, because running with scissors is dangerous at that age. So, but it's nice if you can identify with that strong, adventurous part of you, the courageous part of you, because then you're a better caretaker, a much better caretaker for the second fear part of you. Because if you can only feel like, oh, that part's me, the scared part, right? Then it doesn't work. You know, if you can at least a little bit identify your fears and that you have fears, that's productive. But then the rest, you know, identify with the strong part of you that can actually do something about it, you know, and help and support and, you know, get that flow going. So imagine the courageous, bold, adventurous part of you and see if there's any sort of limit around it that just makes you sort of disown this part of you. Like maybe a big white, you know, sort of frosty ball all around it, you know, like a frosty globe around this part of you. So you're like, you kind of like numb out to this part of you. You don't realize it's you. So just lift that off, give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. So if there's any sort of white, frosty energy around this courageous, bold, adventurous part of you, that makes you disassociate from it. You know, not on purpose, but just because somebody put that there. So like kind of a numbing agent, like a forgetting agent around your adventurous, bold part of you, just lift that off and give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Like a sort of an ice cube that's put over you, around you. So just lift that off. The sort of the amnesia cube. Lift off your amnesia cube, give it to your angels. Lift up the amnesia cube, give it to your angels. Because this courageous, bold, adventurous part of you, there's nothing bad about being aware of that. You know, it's like, it's great. You could say, angels, is it okay to do this? You know, so they'll adjust if you know, adjustments are needed to what you're doing. All right, good. So we're healing the strong, courageous, adventurous parts of you. We lifted off different restrictions from other people. And we also lifted off, like I call it the amnesia cube, around this these parts. You know, any energy from others that cause you to disassociate with the strong, adventurous, bold part of you. So again, grounding. Let's do let's do CBW. Chaos boundary wall. Again, we did that for the first time, the last healing that we did, the healing 2 of 3. And it's cool. Like you just, it's one of these things, it's not a literal thing. Like your 4th chakra is a literal thing that's right here. Your meridians, traditional Chinese medicine, meridians in your physical body, those are literal things. Energy pathways. The chaos boundary wall is a way to represent something much more simply and to work, many more complex things in a simple way. So you imagine this, nice, flowy, gold, strong wall, well, potentially strong boundaries wall, that's your boundaries with invasive beings and invasive people, but it can be harmed. It can be not strong enough. It can be not gold. It can be, have gashes in it. So I drew this drawing of the gashes if you want just little examples of how they can look like that, or the slashes. You can make them into partitions if that's just easier for your brain. Like some people maybe want 2 partitions, so they check this side and they check that side, make sure they're both nice and strong. Maybe some people like 4, maybe some people just like not thinking about it that way and just thinking about it as one big flowy gold wall for their boundaries. So that's not really important, just whatever works for your brain better. But the idea is you just use gold light. You can remove hard objects stuck in your chaos boundary walls. You may have invasive beings very engaged in the damaged parts, because that's the idea that, people and invasive beings, they can access your space through the damaged parts. So that's why you repair the damaged parts, so then they can't. So you just say, angels, if there are any invasive beings messing with my chaos boundary wall, can you please recycle them? So essentially that means, beings messing with my chakras or my meridians or my good karma windows or my, aura. Anyway, you want to be able to repair. And again, you can have hard stuff stuck in here that's in the way of the repair. So you just lift it off, angels, here you go. Lift it off, angels, here you go. And it just grows together. And if it doesn't, there could be invasive beings in the way. Angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way? You have hard objects in the way. Angels, here you go. You could just not have gashes, but like maybe part of it is just like got some grayish silver on it, rather than gold. And that could be energy from other people, like invasive comforters. I'm looking at one woman, and she's a recent widower and recent widow, and she has some people in her space, and so it's making her chaos boundary wall like gray silver instead of gold. So you can just wash off anybody like that in your chaos boundary wall so that your walls are nice and flowy and gold. Let's see. Some of the kids I'm healing, they have the same issues we all have really with this stuff. That's why these healings are great for kids too. But One kid I'm healing, he has some past life fears that it looks like sort of a black paste on his chaos boundary wall. And it's not from other people, or it's not from anyone he's afraid of in this life, even though he is afraid of people in this life. But it's just past life repressed fear that didn't get cleared in past lives. So you just melt it off. Yeah, any repressed fear that you have that's messing with your chaos boundary walls. Repressed fear, repressed anger, repressed sadness. You can notice if any of that's impacting your chaos boundary wall, and any that you notice, just melt it off. Let's see. Sometimes things are overly triggering. Like you can have an event that happens and it just brings up too much old stuff that you probably didn't even know was there. But it was, and clearly now you feel it. So it's like people generally think of that as, traumatic. You would do a traumatic event, but technically it's a traumatic event that triggers a lot of old traumatic events. So it's bigger than that, really. And that you could see that in your chaos boundary wall, kind of like kind of like a white cloudiness around it, or like like if somebody put a bunch of white cotton around your chaos boundary wall, and it's just old trauma, like kind of putting you in, maybe you're going into shock, like a little part of you is going into shock because there's just too much. So you just melt that off, melt the little cottony white shock energy off of your chaos boundary wall. If it starts moving around, then that's just an invasive being playing head games with you. So you say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings making trouble? But the person I'm looking at, it's just old trauma that got triggered. So it's melting away now. So a complement to that is we may do more of that later. We'll see. So that was 8 minutes of chaos boundary wall repairing. A complement to that is emptying the stress pots. Empty stress pots. Unprocessed stress pots. So USP, unprocessed stress pots, and clearing 2 big blocks. I really like doing those together. So let's do that. So unprocessed stress pots it's like a visual representation of just things you haven't had time to process. Because sometimes a lot happens at once. Like my cat Zen passed away, the day of the first triplet healing, which is like my biggest of all the healings all month. It's like the first healing of the triplet set of that month. And of course, that was the time that she needed to cross over, and I helped her doing that. But, then you have even more to process. Like that's how life happens often. It's just like, things don't really wait their turn nicely sometimes, So this really helpful technique can help you keep your shit together, even if that occurs. So you just imagine these pots that you have, that where your unprocessed stress that you can't handle yet goes, and see, are your pots full? And fortunately, processing stress is actually really like oddly simple. So you just imagine these pots, whether they're full or part full, or maybe they're empty. Lucky you if they are. They could be. And then just make red groundings for each one of them. So connection all the way to the core of the earth that's red, and bring up red earth energy. And soak your unprocessed stress pots. And then use gold light and run that through the contents of your unprocessed stress pots. So whatever needs to drain out to the core of the earth will, and whatever needs to just fully dissolve will. So then you are emptying your unprocessed stress pots. Unprocessed stress pots. And it may not be life events, it may just be like Janet mentions 20 giant things in her intro discussion, and that could be enough reason to be like, okay, let me empty my unprocessed stress pots right now, because she just talked about, life and death and blah, 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 blah. So, maybe there were some unprocessed stress pots that got filled up during that intro discussion, so you can just check for that and not empty those pots. And like we did 2 days ago, we were like, well, okay, but maybe there's some denial walls and there's some unprocessed stress pots that you didn't even realize you had that are generally full. So we'll do that too. Maybe we'll rethink how we do it though. Let's see. So maybe some of these unprocessed stress pots you're not acknowledging because you feel like, well, I'm a mom, so I should be thinking about my children and how they're doing, or, I'm too busy, or, that would be selfish, to focus on myself and do that. So there could be some guilt, or, yeah, essentially guilt. I would think summarize what I just said. So clear some guilt, and just imagine it like big piles of baggage of guilt. And maybe it's dumped on you from other people, like, oh, you should feel guilty about that. You shouldn't do that. Like I don't talk to anyone in my genetic family because I just feel like it's happier for me. It's for the best for me. Like that's how I can live a healthy life, because I'm just so different than them. And there are things that it just wouldn't work. Like I would have to say certain things and they couldn't handle hearing those things, and there's no point. So, but plenty of people hearing that would try to make me feel guilty for not interacting with my genetic family. Like, oh, how could you do that? That's terrible. They're your family. La, 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 la. Guilt, 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 dumping guilt, dumping guilt, dumping guilt, right? So you may have had a past life like that, or this life for some reason, maybe heaven forbid you decide not to have kids, like I also decided. So another reason people dump guilt on me, or whatever. Maybe you're no longer a part of a certain religion that you were raised in, and that's the reason people dump guilt on you. So or maybe you're not married, heaven forbid, and in your culture, you should be married by now, or in your family, they think you should be married. So just all that guilt, just melt it down, because it's not doing anybody any good. It's like, how these people feel, most likely, so it's not like you need to keep it as a souvenir. It's like you can keep any wisdom from that experience and just get rid of the actual guilt. So that was clearing guilt. And that's always great to do. But the reason we did it right now is because there could be some unprocessed stress pots that you can't even see that you have, just because you have guilt about something. And guilt tends to just make you not as kind to yourself, not as generous and thoughtful towards yourself. So just look and see, are there unprocessed stress pots that you can now acknowledge that you have, that you couldn't acknowledge before you cleared all that guilt? And if so, just check those out and give them red groundings, and notice how full they are, and just use lots of gold light and wash them out with gold light. And whatever needs to go down to the core of the earth can go down to the core of the earth. Whatever needs to be fully cleared with the gold light, you could do that. You could say, angels, help me do this. If there are any invasive beings in the way, angels, could you recycle those invasive beings? So again, these are the unprocessed stress pots that you initially didn't realize you had because of guilt, but then you cleared the guilt, and now you can see these, and you can empty them. All right. So that was emptying unprocessed stress pots, then clearing guilt, and then emptying more unprocessed stress pots. So now we will do the little cousin of that, which is clear 2 big energy blocks. So just pile up out in front of you any energy blocks that are irritating you in any way, triggering you in any way that you have in your space. They could be bigger ones, 2 big ones, because they haven't cleared yet. And they could be big because they're like multiple blocks glued together with your resistance or with somebody else's energy that's courting them. So just make a big pile of all your 2 big energy blocks, bring up red earth energy from the core of the earth, soak them in that, and then use lots of gold light. Melt any cords going into these 2 big energy blocks from you or from other people. And then melt these 2 big energy blocks, or you can blow them up. You can say, angels, help me to clear these. So that was clearing 2 big blocks, which is great to do whenever. But those 2 techniques together, empty unprocessed stress pots and clearing 2 big blocks, those are really good just to help you to get your brain working again. Although sometimes, you need other things like just levity, playfulness, innocence. Like, since my cat, who I had for 17 years, I still have her on a spirit level. She comes around all the time now in spirit form. But, to help balance me out after that event that just happened, 3 days ago? Less than 3 days ago. My angel said I needed levity and innocence. And so that survey question about what food would you be was part of my levity that I needed. Imagining all these different clients I know as food items and what they picked for themselves, what food item they picked. That was fascinating. But also on Netflix, I watched I don't know if any of you watched the Great British Baking Show. My past life mom was a baker in my last past life, and she and I are very close, my past life mom. And so watching baking shows is especially pleasant for me because she and I watch them together, and she's like very excited about all. They never had baking shows like that, They never had TV, really. She didn't have TV when she was alive in her last life. So anyway, Great British Baking Show we watched together, but now they have this show, Juniors, the Juniors Great British Baking Show, which is a bunch of kids baking. It's so cute. Oh my gosh, these kids are the cutest things ever. And, some of them are pretty good, and some of them are like epically somewhat bad at cooking, but it's so adorable. It's adorable when they're good, and it's adorable when they're not good. So it's just the most adorable thing ever. So that was part of my levity and innocence. Since then passed to just help me balance out. I watched some of that on Netflix. It's so adorable. Great British Baking Show, the Junior Edition or whatever. So anyway, so that's all to just say, sometimes obviously you need more than just energy healing technique, but emptying stress pots and clearing two big blocks is a really good one when for whatever reason you're just not functioning quite right. But if you're not functioning because of damage, which was not the case for me, then chaos boundary wall might be a nice, easy, simple way to fix some damage without having to think about your aura and your chakras, which maybe you just don't feel like doing it that way. So there's that. There's my little speech. Speech about baking shows. Speech about levity, innocence, etc. Balance. It's just nice to have balance in your life. So if you have something that's really stressful, then having something that's silly and playful sometimes can be the right complement. Like I garden sometimes outside, not as much as I would like, but anyway, it's another story. But that can be a very grounding balance to, other aspects of my life. So, finding balance, energy healing can't fix everything. That there are other activities you can find that balance in addition to energy healing. All right. So a little side speech, of course. No shock there. Alrighty. Okay, so let's do the abundance tree. With land around it. And so the idea with this exercise is, and somebody who was, having some trouble with a lot, didn't like the little abundance tree exercise in the survey. So I would say, well, A, it's optional. Everything in the survey is optional other than putting your name. And B, healing your abundance doesn't mean that the abundance you have now is bad or wrong or you're not good enough. It is just an optional thing you can do to give to yourself. Abundance doesn't only mean like having shelter and having enough money to buy food, although that's part of it. It can mean, you even have enough to give to others, or it could mean that you have an abundance of safety, because like abundance is first chakra. So it's an aspect of the first chakra, but also an aspect of the first chakra is courage and safety. So if you have a lot of problems with fears, working your abundance is another way to support, clearing fear and bolster your courage and stuff. So it's all the same chakra. So sometimes it's just nice to come at it from different angles, to keep helping yourself, keep supporting yourself. So food for thought there. But anyway, so the idea with this abundance tree concept is it's just a symbolic way to work on something, much like the chaos boundary wall is. And if it helps you, great. If not, figure out a different imagery you like better, like a garden or a beach or whatever, or just heal your first chakra directly in your first layer. But the idea is you imagine, okay, well, I want to see my abundance energy. I want to be aware of my abundance energy, and I want to represent it as a tree with land around it and see what it looks like, right? And then I want to improve it. I want to just heal it. I want to give to myself, give to my own abundance. I want to also notice surprising things that I didn't notice about my abundance. Like maybe there's something there and then I intuit it represents a relative of mine and I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense that they would be impacting my abundance. Let me just wash that out or give it to my angels. And then sure enough, my tree's healthier now, so that's the idea. So just imagine a tree with land around it that represents your abundance. So it's not anyone else's abundance, it's just your abundance. And then just notice, you know, the size of the tree, the type of the tree, what it looks like. Notice the land around it. What does that look like? And nothing's bad, nothing's good, you know, like you don't have to judge or feel shame or, you know, your tree isn't good enough. It's not like that, but just, you know, you can give to yourself on this level. You can heal. So, you know, if there's anything that is harming your tree, you can clear that off with gold light. You can heal your tree, you can nourish your tree, you can nourish the land around it, you can nourish the roots of your tree. Make it stronger. And, you know, the metaphor can go all sorts of different ways. Like maybe you like the metaphor that it's a fruit tree, and so is it bearing fruit? And that whole bearing fruit is, you know, could be an abundance idea. And so you see, you know, is it bearing you a lot of fruit? Or if it's not, you know, heal the tree and remove something that's harming the tree, give it to your angels. You know, so, but you don't have to have a fruit that bears tree. Maybe just the tree itself with its existence is representing your abundance. So it just depends on what level of tree metaphor you like. But again, you want to, you know, heal the land around it, give it its own land. But if there's anything harming the tree of your abundance, just lift that off, give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. If there's anybody that feels like they own the tree and this is your abundance tree, this is not someone else's abundance energy, but people can get kind of bossy, you know? So is there a bossy person trying to own your abundance tree or control it somehow? And if so, you can just surround them in gold light and hand them to your angels. Angels, here you go. There could be invasive beings acting like that too. So you can just say, angels, can you recycle any invasive beings messing with my abundance tree or my abundance land? Your abundance tree could be a lot smaller because it's got like past life restrictions on it. Like people can do not nice things to each other, you know, like you could have had somebody in a past life that thought you were earning too much money and they were envious, or that they were envious. Maybe you got inheritance and they didn't, or some level of abundance for some reason that you had, you know, maybe your business was just doing really well and theirs wasn't, you know. So you can look at that just with this tree metaphor and see, do you have somebody's like envy or somebody's, you know, curse, manipulative energy, you know, just harming the abundance, the tree, the land, you know, and just imagine it in a simple, non-intimidating way, you know, that just is something you can lift off and give to your angels or melt away with gold light. Like this one person, it's like a big black box around their tree. So you just melt it away. But yeah, are there any manipulations, you know, any restrictions on your abundance from other people on your tree or on your land? And you can just imagine it in a simple way that's easy to lift off. And go ahead, use gold light, lift it off. Angels, here you go. And you can go ahead and, this is the nice thing about having a copy, you can turn your copy, because it could be that like the side of the tree that you're looking at now is fine, and then you turn it around, you're like, oh, there's like all this energy that you didn't notice on the other side of the tree. So go ahead, turn your abundance tree around so you can see what you weren't seeing, or imagine what you weren't imagining, and you can just scoop all that junk off and give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Angels, here you go. Again, if you have any past life manipulations or present life manipulations of people that were maybe jealous or envious or feel betrayed by you, or, you know, for some reason they got into a really negative headspace and tried to harm your abundance. Just imagine that in a simple, non-intimidating way that you can lift off, and just lift it off with gold light. Give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. All right, so that was working your abundance by using this abundance tree concept. Just imagining your abundance as represented by a tree with land around it and healing it and removing junk that doesn't belong there. I'm going to look at a sample person for a minute. So I'll be quiet for a minute as I look. Okay, so what we're going to do next also relates to abundance, but it helps all first chakra things. If you're working on one first chakra thing, it helps the other first chakra things. So abundance, safety, courage, clearing fear, clearing anxiety, all that good stuff would be assisted by this. But we're going to clear abundance limiting agreements that are unhealthy. I mean, I think most of them would be, but we'll just add that word just to reassure people and just in case, I don't know. So that way you're not like worried about what you're clearing. And we'll have angels check too, of course. But the example of abundance limiting agreements, which the angels pointed out to me just now when I was quiet, and is pretty common actually. If you don't have it in this life, you probably have had it in several past lives. This person, they come from a big family, and he has siblings and a mom that are many of whom are very invasive and sort of takers, and so when he was just like 2 years old, made an abundance limiting agreement with his mother that he would look after his siblings. But it wasn't like a clean agreement, because his mom is just very bossy and controlling, and so, I mean, it would be next to impossible for her to make a clean agreement with anybody. It's just not her way, in this life, at least. Someday she'll get it, but not this time. So anyway, he made this really oppressive agreement to take care of all his siblings and to pretty much limit himself and his wellness and his health, do whatever it takes. Which obviously that's not going to help his siblings to limit his abundance and his health, etc. But that's the agreement that he made, because he was only 2, and at 2, kids will agree to anything, pretty much. So that's that. So what has happened is, he tends to have a lot of dramas now. Like, his abundance got bigger and bigger and bigger, but then now it's like all these calamities are happening to reduce his abundance. And part of that is because he needed the chaos boundary wall work. But then another part of it is he had these abundance limiting agreements with some of his siblings and his mother. And so it would basically like just erode his abundance, and it doesn't help his siblings necessarily. I mean, it makes him try to help them, but they're always still like needing something, because their abundance isn't truly helped, right? It's like a codependent thing. So that would be an example of an unhealthy abundance limiting agreement, or unhealthy abundance limiting agreement. So you may have those still from past lives with siblings and parents that you don't even know right now, like they're not in your current life, and it's not helping them, it's not helping you, but agreements stick around until you actually clear them. So a lot of agreements from past lives, even though ideally they would have just cleared, they just don't unless you clear them. So it's easy to do. So you just imagine a whole bunch of abundance limiting agreements that you've agreed to, that still exist, that are unhealthy for you. You can imagine those agreements as pieces of paper, or as sticks or rocks, or scrolls of paper, or however you want to imagine these unhealthy abundance limiting agreements. And then just say, angels, is it okay to clear all these? And so any that are still there, that would mean yes. It's totally okay to clear them. And then just use lots of gold light to melt them away. You can ground them in red earth energy, and just use lots of gold light to melt away your unhealthy abundance limiting agreements. So again, just take a couple deep breaths, feel how that is. And one more time, maybe you still have a couple more now that you could clear, and it would still be healthy and gentle to do. So line up any more unhealthy abundance limiting agreements that you have right now, and just say, angels, is it okay to clear all these? And then use lots of gold light and go ahead and melt away these agreements. You can say, angels, help me to do this. And I'm looking at one person who needed this. I mean, a lot of people need this because, like I said, these past life agreements, they don't just go away when the life is over. So a lot of people needed that exercise, probably most people, anyone I'm looking at. But, you might need to do it 3 times a week for a couple weeks just to get them all, and live a little in between, and, be good to yourself, and then do it again. Just because, that whole healthy, gentle thing. Sometimes you just got to live and, watch some baking shows and garden and sleep and do whatever else, and then you're ready for more. All right. Good job. So I'm just using gold light up and down the spine, all the major chakras. So let's do the other thing that I talked about that I said we would do, which is well, let's clear bully energy. We didn't exactly do enough of that probably. So I don't want to skip over that. So bully energy, just whatever, you know, you can imagine the strong, courageous part of you and then the weak, stuck in fear part of you. And, you know, you may have a couple of each, whatever, but you can simplify it and just imagine one part of each. And just see where if you have any energy from bullies in this life or past life bullies, you know, but you still have the energy. So maybe it's energy restricting the scared part of you, keeping the flow less on the scared part of you. Maybe it's stuff in between the strong, courageous part and the scared part of you, or maybe it's a restriction around the strong, courageous part of you. So what is the effect of bullies in your space with this dynamic of courageous and stuck in fear parts of you? Where's the bully energy? Do you have any leftover bully energy in your space from having been bullied? Yeah, just go ahead and find it, imagine it, and melt it away. So right now I'm melting away energy blocks in between the courageous and the weak part from bullies. And some energy around the courageous part, just kind of restricting that part. So lift that off, angels, here you go. So energy from bullies around the courageous part of you, lift it off, angels, here you go. And again, you want to do this to the extent that's healthy and gentle to do right now. And then around the scared part of you, is there any energy from bullies around that part of you? And just imagine that and just be like, hey, it's okay. And just melt that, lift it off, angels, here you go. Any energy from bullies, and it could be past life bullies. Just imagine it in like a simple, non-freaky way, or if there is any impacting the scared parts of you. And just one person I'm looking at, it looks like a bunch of heavy, dark spikes that are right in front of the scared part of them. And so you just surround that, whatever it is, in a lot of gold light and lift it off. Something from bullies. Angels, here you go. So again, heal that scared part of you, stuck in fear part of you. It doesn't have to be scared forever. You just get stuck in fear. And just lift off the fear blocks. Angels, here you go. Any part from bullies around this scared part of you. And just surround that, all that bully stuff with gold light and lift it off. Give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. Because now you're the hero and you can get rid of the bully, right? Anything left over from bullies you can get rid of. So that the strong part of you and the scared part of you can reunite and support each other. Sometimes when I see that happen with a person, it kind of looks like, if you've ever seen those videos on YouTube where like soldier comes home after 3 years and is reunited with his dog, you know, and so like there'll be the soldier and all of a sudden the dog recognizes the soldier and the dog's like, oh my gosh, and runs into the person's arms and there's this big sloppy reunion between the person and their dog, you know. If you haven't seen any of those, they're really cute. It's like if you search like dog reunion or something. Or, you know, soldier, you know, veteran dog reunion, yeah, soldier dog reunion. But sometimes it's like, you know, someone lost dog reunited with owner, that kind of thing. But those are always adorable because like the dog maybe at first doesn't recognize the person, but then when they do, it's like, oh, they get so thrilled. It's adorable. But anyway, so that sometimes that's how it looks when the courageous part is finally able to get through all the junk and clear it out, and then the two parts are able to reunite. It's like this like really happy, enthusiastic fix. All right, so that was clearing bully energy. clearing out bully energy from stronger and weaker parts of you. And the space in between those two parts. Okay, good job. We're going to wrap up soon, but I wanted to do what I was talking about at the intro, the death pain stuff. The death observer pain. Clear death observer pain. Because as I said, if, you know, this cat that I had that just passed, she didn't really have much death pain. You know, she had some in the last like 2 days, but not significant. But, you know, we've had other pets, and, you know, obviously you might know people that have had really significant things they've had to deal with, you know, towards their, before they died, you know, when the body just sort of has problems. And, but as I said, that I would call, if I call that death pain, you know, of the person or the pet that is dying, that gets their death pain once they cross over, and that's all lifted off of them. So it's as if it didn't happen really for them on a spirit level. Like there's no lasting trauma impacting them if they have, you know, their next life. It's not like a wound in their heart or something, or a weakness in their soul or anything like that. The death pain gets lifted off by the angels fully and completely, not just temporarily in heaven, but like period. But the people that observe the death pain, you know, the dying of their loved one, that you don't get a freebie on that. You don't get that lifted off of you. You have to clear it. And a lot of people never clear that. So there's a lot piled up, perhaps, you know, of just fatigue and heaviness and sadness and feeling helpless, you know, and feeling frustrated that you can't help this person you care about, you know. And in this life, maybe there are things you could help with, you know, like, I don't know, marijuana to ease the pain of your loved one, or, you know, some states in the US have assisted suicide, but others don't, you know, for like when the person is really like got terminal cancer, that type of thing, you know, and they only have a little bit to go anyway. But anyway, so observing your loved one going through suffering is traumatic, generally. So you can just imagine your trauma as big piles out in front of you. You don't have to feel it. Just imagine it kind of like dirty laundry, maybe, that's like 10 feet in front of you, you know, piles of it. And you can, if you want, you can imagine like individual piles of death observer pain for each experience that you've been through as a death observer that didn't clear fully, you know. So there could be like 2 or 12 experiences in this life as a death observer pain, and there could be, you know, a ton of different past life instances of death observer pain that hasn't cleared yet for you. But maybe that's overwhelming to think of it that way. Maybe it's interesting. Who knows? Different people think differently. But you could just make it one pile, or you could make a big gold laundry basket, you know, and put it all in there. You know, maybe that makes it better. But the point is, just melt it away. Melt away your death observer trauma, because, you know, the person crossed over, it got lifted off them. It's not affecting them in any way anymore. So, you know, it is what it is. It happened, but there's no lasting effect for that person. They're not tired anymore. They're not in pain. They're not exhausted. It's gone. So you can make your trauma gone, which is better, right? So just lots of gold light. You can stack up again more death observer trauma, and you can say, angels, is it okay to clear all this? And so they'll remove some if it's too much. And then whatever's still in front of you is okay to clear, so you could blow it up if you want, if it's yours, or just melt it with gold light. And as far as learning you get from this, yeah, there is probably learning about, you know, how death can be kind of brutal sometimes. So maybe that's a learning experience. um, uh, so you will keep the wisdom from this, from melting the trauma. It's not like you won't have that learning experience, but you don't have to keep the trauma for that. You just can clear that. So like the repressed sadness, the repressed grief, the repressed, you know, fear, the frustration that you couldn't, you know, maybe at that time you couldn't help them, you felt. So just melt all that away. You know, sometimes your mind will have very specific things that you latch onto, like, well, if that doctor had been better, or that, you know, person hadn't been negligent, or if this person hadn't done that, then my loved one wouldn't have suffered, you know. And it could be factually true, you know, but karma takes care of, if somebody truly did a harm to your loved one, karma will take care of them. Like they will have to learn and potentially pay back through suffering on, you know, in some future life of theirs, so that they can learn more compassion and, you know, the importance of things like that. But so that's not something that you have to keep fixating on, you know, like whatever little factoids about it. And a lot of times when your mind is obsessing on little things like who did what wrong, it's because you're not quite clearing enough of the trauma energy, and so your mind just kind of loops over and over. So again, just put as much death observer trauma as you want out in front of you and say, angels, is it okay to clear this? And your angels will probably be like, are you kidding? It's about time. And then just blow it up or melt it away with gold light. Okay, good job. And let's empty unprocessed stress pots one more time, just because I'm noticing that, you know, since that was a big topic, it'd be good to do that again. So just imagine all your unprocessed stress pots out in front of you, and see if any are full, see if they're all full, see if they're part full, and just bring up red earth energy, ground them. Red earth energy straight from the core of the earth to soak these pots with red earth energy, and then gold light, lots of gold light, and just let these pots empty out. So you're melting away whatever's in there that needs to melt, and anything that needs to ground down to the core of the earth, we'll do that. Another thing, because I was talking about, you know, death observer pain, of I use specific examples with pets or loved ones, like direct loved ones, like you know, you're a really close friend of yours. But current events, world events, can also cause death observer pain, because, you know, people are killed in world conflicts, and that can be traumatic to even know it's happening, and in a similar way that you know, like you can't wave your magic wand and have it stop, right? So maybe there are things that you could do, political action, donating, stuff like that, but you just can't, make it stop right now. And so that causes, death observer pain potentially, which is why some people don't even want to listen to the news, so they don't want more death observer pain. But the thing is, it, it might, that might help you get less death observer pain if you feel like you're already doing whatever you're going to do. Like if you're going to donate and you're already donating as much as you can, or you're going to, be politically active and you're already doing as much as you can, or you just know that it's your choice not to do anything, like literally, to help, then maybe not listening does get you less death observer pain. Limiting your intake of the news. But, say for practical reasons, you just want to know about the news. So it's good to clear this death observer pain. So let's clear death observer pain specific to like global events, world events, international events, stuff that's happening, not just to your direct loved ones, but to people maybe in your country or a neighboring country or some country about, that you hear about in the news. So death observer pain from world events, we'll call it, from conflict, from floods, from famine, from whatever, right? So all that death observer pain that you have from being aware of all that, from this life and past lives, and just say, angels, is it okay to clear all this? And so your angels will take away some if it's too much to clear at once, and then just go ahead and melt it away. So this is death observer pain from world events, from big events to lots of people, like floods, famines, wars. Because your death observer pain doesn't actually help, and it can be very paralyzing. So it could mean that you're less likely to donate or, speak out politically or whatever, because it's just too much to have all this. So again, put out in front of you any death observer pain that you have from witnessing or hearing about global events, and just say, angels, is it okay to clear all this? Your angels will probably be like, oh my gosh, it's so about time. Yeah. And then just lots of gold light and melt it away. Melt away this global event, death observer pain stuff that you have from listening to Democracy Now! Videos. I mentioned in the last healing that Democracy Now! Is, in my opinion, a good news source. It's progressive news source, and but you could easily get death observer pain listening to it, because they really do report on all this stuff. So, but you can clear your death observer pain, and then you're just well informed and not traumatized. Well, and a lot of times if you have death observer pain from listening to Democracy Now! Videos, it's also because it dredged up death observer pain that you have from past lives. When there was no video to listen to about it, it just, that it happened to the neighboring village or whatever, So just a past life death observer pain from global events or from large events. All right. So again, you want to do just what's healthy and gentle to do right now, but that's something you could, if you want, you could say, just, I'm going to let my angels help me do this more if I need it more. So that was, we had done clear death observer pain, and then we did empty unprocessed stress pots again, and then we did, I talked about global events, global news, and how even just hearing about it can cause death observer pain. So then we cleared death observer pain, DOP, that you have from listening to or knowing about global news. We're going to do a little bit of chaos boundary wall repair again before we wrap up, but this will probably be the last couple minutes of the healing. So again, chaos boundary wall, you can imagine just like gold flowy force field, and it's a representation of a lot of different things that help you with strong boundaries with invasive energy. Invasive energy meaning invasive people, invasive beings. So this strong chaos boundary wall represents a lot of different things in your space: chakras, auras, meridians, good karma windows, all the stuff that keeps you safe. But imagining it as a big glowy, flowy gold wall is a simple way to do it. Just repair your chaos boundary wall. Lots of gold light. And since you have a copy, you can flip it around. Look at the other side of it. Maybe the side you've been working looks really nice now, and look at the other side of your chaos boundary wall. And if you notice stuff you don't like there, say angels, can you recycle any invasive beings in the way? And then maybe you have just energy from other people stuck to your chaos boundary wall, so you can loosen that up with gold light. And one thing that's kind of fun too is you can reduce something in size, like if it's this big block of hard white energy, then you can just go whoosh, and now it's a tiny little block of hard white energy, which is just kind of fun to do. I think with your angels, here you go. It's just that sometimes things can seem so like, oh, it's so big, it'd be so hard to do. And then, you can just remind yourself, like, it's just energy, and then just go whoosh. Angels, here you go. So again, you're healing the side of your chaos boundary wall that maybe you don't normally look at. Just see what's there. And if you have a little swirling energy, that's usually just invasive beings. So you can say, angels, can you recycle these beings? Take a couple deep breaths while your angels do that. You might have like a snowy frostiness on there. So you can just, again, reduce that and give it to your angels. Angels, here you go. You could have hard objects stuck in your chaos boundary wall, making it weaker. So you can just lift those out. Angels, here you go. Lift those out. Angels, here you go. Use lots of gold light there. You can have some people that are like, for whatever reason, they're trying to mess with your chaos boundary wall. And so you can just wrap them in gold light and give them to your angels. Angels, here you go. So anybody that's standing near your chaos boundary wall trying to mess with it, just wrap them in gold light. Don't hurt them. Just wrap them in gold light, give them to your angels. Angels, here you go. And then especially where those people were standing, just use extra gold light right there. Make sure you remove anything from them in your chaos boundary wall. All right, so then I'm just checking creative rings, major chakras, legs, auras, groundings. When in doubt, unblock your grounding in the next couple days, of course. If you were going to do 4 things only, I would say unblock grounding, chaos boundary wall, empty unprocessed stress pots, and 2 big blocks. So we'll say the power 4. The power 4 combo would be, forgot it already. CBW, unblock grounding, of course. Empty unprocessed stress pots, and clear 2 big blocks. So yeah, that's optional, of course, but if you only want to do 4 things, that could be it. Those things will be timestamp linked, but it's nice to just learn how to freestyle stuff. So you can do a minute on each of those, or just do them quickly. I mean, if you have time and you want to do something long, obviously you can listen to the whole thing, but you just might not be in the mood for that, or you might not have the time for that. So that could be a nice combo. Okay, good job. You're amazing. Woo, 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 woo. You can ask your angels. Actually, yeah, just ask your angels to help you wrap up the healing. Say, angels, can you help me wrap up? Angels, can you please help me with all my first chakra stuff, including abundance, and including family boundaries. All right, one more celebration. Yay, good job. Woo, woo, woo. All right. So the power 4 combo is grounding, chaos boundary wall, empty unprocessed stress pots, and clear 2 big blocks. I mean, I'm not saying for all eternity, but it seems like that would be nice if you don't want to do a lot in the next couple days, but you want to do something. All right, cool. So I will wrap up the live stream in just a few minutes. And if you have comments about what this healing was like for you, or a comment about something I said about the theme, you could post that right now if you wanted. Late tonight, I will send out a post-healing survey. Sometimes the surveys are delayed now. That should be resolved soon. But with this new email system I have, which I will not have for much longer, because I have to switch to something else again. But I can't email everybody that I need to for this set at one time. I have to email 50 of the people and then wait 3 hours and email the rest of the people. Which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. It's of course I would find the email system where you can only email 50 people. Oh my gosh. So anyway, I'm going to be switching that email system in the next couple days, because I need to be able to email a bunch of people at once, because I do group healings. And also, on the 15th, I email my news email list to be the sessions just went up. So everyone needs that email right when I send it, not 3 hours later. So anyway, long story short, if you don't get the survey link till 3 hours after your friend got it, that's why. But that problem should be resolved in the next few days. When I switch again. Migrate my entire email system once more time. Because why do it once when you can do it twice? Alrighty. Someone says, hi, tuning in late from Muckamore, Northern Ireland, in the UK. The Angel of Death thing is so cool. I wonder if that's what people were seeing when they thought they saw the Grim Reaper. Yeah, typically. Yeah, when people say the Grim Reaper, it's really just an Angel of Death. Yes. Someone says, I changed my food item to lychees. That's awesome. I changed my food item. I love that. Yeah, so if you want, you can post what food item you would be right now if you want, or later under the video. If you were a food item, what would you be? And you can change your vote, of course. It's not set in stone. Someone says, I love gentle British television. Yeah, totally. The Great British Baking Show was my comfort show during chemo, and it is still one of my comfort shows. Yeah. I mean, I'm even considering watching like an old season I've already seen of that show. Just because it's just so innocent and nice. Like compared to like Chef Ramsay cooking shows where he like humiliates people all the time. I mean, I still watch that stuff because most of his shows, not all of his shows, because some of it is just way too much like screaming and humiliation. But my husband kind of likes those shows, so some of them I'm like, all right, and we both like it. Some seasons are worse than others, though. Like Hell's Kitchen, has a lot of Chef Ramsay show has a lot of like ritualized humiliation. But this season's not so bad for me to watch. I don't mind. But yeah, the British baking shows, oh my God, they're so innocent and wonderful and cute and adorable. Someone's doing the heart emojis and says, as per hair. Don't know what that means. And I'm rolling those unhealthy agreements off. Oh, great. Oh my gosh, love those videos. Which videos? Oh, the dog reuniting with owner, probably videos, yeah. They're very cute. Someone says, hello, thank you for the death observer pain technique. I really needed that. Yes, I could tell. My heart area was like Swiss cheese. Now it's like not. Woohoo! Yeah, do not connect to the angel of death. Like, don't get in the way. Like, if you have a dying friend, let them talk to all the angels involved with the dying process that they need to talk to. Like, it's usually, of course, a subconscious thing, but sometimes it's like you just, you want your friend to live forever, or maybe they have that thought, but you don't. You're just like, well, if it's your time, it's your time. But then they're like, oh, no, and so it might cause you to connect to their death angels that they're working with. They're death angels. So, yeah, that'll mess you up too. But yeah, then the death observer pain is a big deal. So, yeah. But yeah, you can see, do you have cords to any angels of death? Because you're trying to like give your friend more time or something, or they are trying to get you to give them more time. So just melt the cords to the angels of death. Do not cord the angels of death. That's like putting your finger in the biggest electrical socket you can imagine. Someone says, thank you. I'll listen to the rest later. You're welcome. Hello, Jenna. Thank you very much for this healing. I feel more peace now. Oh, that's nice to know. I'm glad. Can we also have the observer baggage related not only to death, like witnessing abuse, injustice, etc.? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Death observer baggage, darkness observer baggage, just being aware of, like, say, addicts, if you're aware of a bunch of addicts or you're aware of a bunch of people in abusive situations. Yeah, sure. Observer baggage, trauma observer baggage. Yeah, and you would clear it the exact same way. Yep. Well, cool. Hopefully that's one of those things that makes you feel better, even though talking about it sounds kind of heavy. So, but let's see, garden stories. Oh, I have a good one that might lighten up the mood a bit. I'll be right back. I'm going to show you something. Okay, so sprouts. So these are alfalfa sprouts. So this is like winter gardening indoors. And so I grow sprouts when, you know, we don't have a lot of greens from the garden. But actually our kale in the garden is still living. But, you know, even though we've had like, I don't know, we had probably like at least 6 nights in a row of below freezing weather, like maybe 6 degrees below freezing or something. So it was a lot, but our kale is still alive. But the problem is the rain. We've had so much rain that it kind of weighs down the kale leaves, and then they snap and break. So they're like half broken off. They still look okay, most of them, but they're like, not all of them, but you know, so it's a lot. So just in case, you know, I'm growing alfalfa sprouts indoors under grow lights so they get nice and green. And although if you don't have grow lights, you could still grow alfalfa sprouts indoors. It's really easy to do, and they're very healthy. So I put them like in my omelet. I'll cook them and put them in my omelet. Because raw sprouts, my tummy would not be able to do well with that, but especially in the middle of winter. But cooked into sprouts or cooked into like a, like, you know, if you make pasta and vegetables and they're all hot because you just cooked them, and then you put it together with the sprouts and let the steam from the pasta and the vegetables cook your sprouts. That could be nice. But anyway, so that is a nice little show and tell. I tend to grow 2 of these at once. So there's another one still in there. In there, meaning my grow room. I have this room, small room, but with all the grow lights in it for plants growing indoors. So this is a little tomato. Isn't that cute? So I had a lot of tomatoes this color. They were like all black, but some of them were like black and partially not black. So these are easier than the all black ones, because the all black ones you have to like kind of touch them to see how mushy they are to know they're ripe. But these ones that have some, you know, green or red, well, green when they're not ripe and red when they are ripe, they're much easier to tell, like, oh, that's ripe. Right? So I showed a lot of my ugly tomatoes, but I actually have a lot that are, I mean, you know, ugly, heavily scarred. Like this one is really heavily scarred, so I'm gonna have to cut all that off, but the rest of it will be fine. But then these are just plain old pretty. So I could show some of those. Aren't they nice? So this is a different variety, you know, that's, each variety seems to have a different, you know, look to it when they ripen. So, but they're just pretty. So this one, maybe I could let it go for another day to get more red, but this one's a much deeper red. So isn't that pretty? So then I'll just show my puppies. My dogs are doing pretty well, actually. I mean, considering Abel's very old, but considering that, he's doing pretty well. And our one cat that is still in the body, Smokey, we're going to get him a dental, like surgery to remove some teeth and stuff next month. So that'll be good because he really needs it. So so that's that. But I'll show you my dogs. And actually you can see Smokey sleeping in the distance there. You can kind of see him. He's just this little black dot by the window. Like, see that aqua colored pillow that he's on, and then he's the black dot right there. Because he's nestled in the pillow, so you can't see him that well. And then there's Abel, who's sound asleep. He has the cone on because sometimes he doesn't need the cone now, but at first, before his medications kick in, he needs it so he doesn't mess with himself. And then that's Izzy, but you can't really see him very well because he's black and brown, and so the black part of him is where, you know, where what he's showing right now, the way he's sleeping, so can't see him very well, but there he is. So anyway, I hope you guys are fabulous. And yeah, so that's that. There'll be another healing set. That other healing set, the twin set, that's on the 19th and the 20th of this month. But before that is the 15th, when the January healings go up for sale on my payment page. January healings tend to go a little faster than usual, just because, you know, January is a really nice time for positive change, just because the even mainstream people think about changing their lives in January a lot, at least in the US. So that creates kind of like this collective goal kind of a thing, and so that lightens up a lot of the drama. So it's a little bit easier to sort of ride that wave of positive change in January. So anyway, so long story short, the healings, I'll put them up on my payment page as close to on time as I can, which would be noon my time Pacific, 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you need that converted to your own time, just email me. My email is janet@jwhealing.com, or my old one is janet@janetwrightreadings.com. So either of those work, but there you go. That's my new email, janet@jwhealing.com. So if you don't get that email on the 15th, and you usually do get my news emails, look in your junk folder. But if you still don't get it, please email me to let me know, because it is possible that I accidentally dropped you off my news list, but I didn't mean to. So you can always just email me and be like, hello, I'm not getting your news emails. And if you don't get them, but you want to get them, please let me know. Because it's an opt-in only thing. So even if you've bought a healing from me before, I don't want to assume, and so I don't add you to the news email list unless you explicitly say, hello, please send me your news emails, you know, or newsletter, whatever people like to call it. And if I haven't worked with you in like 2 years or more, I'll like boot you off the list, just because I don't want to be spammy. But you can always email me and say, no, I swear to God, I read the emails, and you know, I would like to get them, and then I'll put you back on the list. Okay, so you're amazing. So it says, thank you, Janet. You're welcome. All right, so bye. You're amazing. Woo, go you.